Hey, this is going to be the first video on my course in data analytics using Python, and we're using colab.research.google.com to do all of our Python coding. And in this first lesson, we're going to talk about variables and data structures. So starting out in Python, if you want to work with words or numbers, this is how you get started. So words in Python or string are known as strings. Strings could also be sentences. So to make a string, aka a word, you can either use single quotes or you can use double quotes. And inside of these quotes, you want to type the word or phrase, or you could even type a number inside of it. Now when you run the cell, it should output word 3 in these quotes, meaning that it is indeed a string. The next data type we have are numbers, and in Python there are integers, which are whole numbers, and there's also floats, and floats are decimal numbers, so numbers or the decimal. Also, you can use the hashtag symbol, and the rest of the words and characters after the hashtag symbol will be saved as notes, so they won't interfere with your program. So an integer could just be like the number 1. Then if we print 1, we see that it is indeed just the letter 1. We can also call this function type, and it tells us that 1 is an integer. Now we can also just do a dot and then 2, so we have 1.2, and that gives us a float, as we see. You can also do a typecast, what is known as a typecast on an integer or a float or any other data structure, to cast it to something else. So basically we can call this int function, int, with parentheses, we'll put 2.1 inside, and it will cast 2.1, which is a float, into an integer, and it comes out as 2. We can also do float, and we can just put a whole number inside of it, and it will come out as a float, 2.0. To add numbers in Python, you put your first number, then you put a plus sign, space, and then your second number, and boom, we get 4. Crazy, I know. You can also do subtraction. To multiply, you do the star symbol, and to divide, you do the backslash. Easy peasy. Next data type we have are Booleans. Booleans are always going to be true or false, and these are going to be really useful later on when we're working with algorithms and actually using our data and changing it in some way or verifying certain things. So it's always either true or false. It has to be a capital T for true and a capital F for false. And like I said, this will be really useful going forward later on in the course. So lists are just like a grocery list. You can put words, which are your strings, and you could put numbers, which are either your integers, which are whole numbers, or your floats, which are decimal numbers. You could also put your booleans inside. You can put basically anything in Python in a list, and you can mix and match them inside of your list. So to make a list, like I said, you just use these open brackets, box brackets, and then inside you can put a whole number like 213, for instance, and you put a comma, and that is the first item on your list. Now for your second item, you can do whatever you want. You can do as many or as few items as you want on your list of different data types, so like strings, words, booleans, numbers, and anything in between. And when you run the cell, it'll print out all of these values inside of your list. And then the last data structure we have is a dictionary. A dictionary is a key value pair data structure. So the key in this dictionary, I'm just going to make it a word or a string in Python, and inside these quotes I'm going to put my name, Daniel, and the value is going to be, you can think of it as like a definition. So I'm going to say is cool. So Daniel is cool. Daniel, the key, is cool is the value, and you can mix and match these. So this could be or this could be like a string, this could be a number, or like a boolean, or anything else you would like it to be. Alright, and then lastly, now that we've seen how to make words which are strings, numbers which are integers or floats, booleans which are always true and false, lists which is just like a grocery list, and dictionaries which is key value pairs. We're going to talk about variables. Variables are basically how you store any of this information, so like words, numbers, and so on, in a more useful way. And variables are necessary to do anything of substance in Python. So a variable, you can just name it anything. So you can just name your variable like var1 for like variable1. You can set it equal to a string e. And then if you just type out var1, it'll just come out as e, which is what we set the variable equal to. So this could also be a number, could be a float, could be false, a boolean, could also be a list. And you can also do operations on this variable, so you could add like 5 to it and this will come out as 7. If we want to use our dictionary inside the variable, this is super useful. It's the only way you can really use dictionaries if you assign them to a variable. So we have var _1, and you should always use an underscore in your variable names instead of spaces. Do not do var space 1, always have var _1 or it'll mess up the code. Alright, so our dictionary, we have the key Daniel, and our definition for Daniel, the value is cool. So to look up Daniel inside of our dictionary, we write out var1, we do box brackets. Inside these box brackets, we put up the name we want to look up, Daniel, and this will return the definition of Daniel, which is cool. Very nice. In the next video in this tutorial, we are going to be going over logic, which is how you actually use numbers and words to compare them to each other to do operations and all sorts of other stuff. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed the video and want to see similar videos to this one. Thank you, and see you in the next one.